I started developing a sense of like fear towards God. I felt like I was judged and I was almost hated.
Nothing was fulfilling me.
I would say I was fascinated with religion, but not necessarily religious growing up.
And just seeing all those videos coming out from Gaza, it's just like, I want to have even a percentage of that faith in my own life.
I really started thinking about like Islam and like reverting.
I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like a feeling in your heart that you can't really put words to. I just felt very at home there.
I had very humble beginnings where my parents migrated from Mexico. We were raised traditionally Catholic, going to church every Sunday and Sunday school as well. And I feel like there were some things that I didn't really resonate with, especially once it came to doing like the piece where you actually do your first communion. That's when you start doing confessions, which is basically where you go inside a relatively small wooden box that fits 2 people, you and a priest. During those times, you're supposed to share your sins or things that you may need guidance on, but mainly things that you've done bad. And it was almost like they were the ones that were pardoning you in some sense. And to me, even as a 10, 11, 12-year-old, when I had done that, it felt really odd to do something like that, especially because I didn't have a relationship with this person. I didn't know who they were. I just had to have blind trust that they were going to help me. And it was never like, oh, you know, that's not that severe, or, oh, you know, this is the right way to do it. It always made you feel very ashamed. So I felt like from that age forward, I started developing a sense of like fear towards God, but not in a way of like trying to make him proud or trying to like please him and being fearful of the wrath that could come, but more so just more like I was judged and I was almost hated.
I've never prayed when I was quote unquote Christian. I was Christian because my family was Christian. The only time we ever went to church was when I was causing issues, like I'd come home, get arrested, have the police bring me home, or I'd be caught stealing, taken from my parents, and then they would like, oh, we'll go to church for a little while. Maybe that'll get him, we'll fix him. And I just knew that, okay, you only need to get through this church thing for a couple weeks, a month, and then they'll get tired of it and we'll stop going.
My grandparents on my mom's side are Muslim. So growing up, I knew they were Muslim, but I wasn't around the religion necessarily. They weren't really practicing. I knew I was Arab, I knew I was Middle Eastern, but it just wasn't really like a thing that was talked about in my home, and that's due to the trauma that my grandparents endured. My grandma was born in Lid, Palestine, and my grandfather was born in Tulkarem. My grandma is a survivor of the Nakba. So when she was 5 years old, she had 11 siblings. They lived in a huge house, big yard, everything. One random day, the Israeli occupation showed up, kicked them out of their house. They had to walk 3 days through the desert. She was shot by the Israeli occupation. And when they moved to the US, they had to assimilate so much to Western culture.
I did not really grow up in a faith-centered household at all. My mom is actually Jewish, but we didn't have a strong spiritual or religious connection to it at all growing up. You know, my mom instilled a lot of like morals and values and all of that, but it wasn't necessarily through a religious lens or, you know, turning to God by any means. But even as a kid, I always found myself praying, and I was reflecting on it recently, and that's really interesting that I did that because my mom never told me to do that. It felt kind of like an innate thing. And then into my teen years, I think I kind of rejected organized religion. I really did not think it was for me. And I even, you know, I feel like New Age spiritualism is kind of a big thing right now. And like the crystal propaganda got me. And so I was doing that for a while, but nothing was fulfilling me.
I would say I was fascinated with religion, but not necessarily religious growing up, because I did believe in God, but my belief in God didn't really fit any of the religions that I was studying at the time. So if anything, I considered myself what was called an omnist. Omnism is the belief that all religions on earth have some of the original truth, but not one religion holds all the truth.
When I first learned about what was happening in the Holy Land, because that's how we grew up calling it, you're just kind of told there's always conflict in that region of the world. And then you kind of realize, okay, you have 3 of the most major religions coming out of that part of the world, and I just happen to be one of them. I just happen to be in the Christian branch. And just seeing the reaction of Palestinians and just hearing that they're Muslim, and just seeing all those videos coming out from Gaza, it's just like, I think this is what I need in my life. And I want to have even a percentage of that faith in my own life.
I started to feel this feeling inside me that Islam was the truth, that it was helping me live a more beautiful life if I truly embraced it. I ended up just completely feeling this sense of almost like love and connection, that if this religion and what I'm reading and the values that I'm learning is making me change my life in a beautiful way, then everything that follows, no matter how scary or uncertain it may be, it's worth it. And that's when I really started understanding the faith that I saw in the Palestinian people. How even when you're not certain, and even when you're going through challenges in life, that there is this underlying layer of knowing that Allah will always be with you.
Seeing just like the level of like brutality and seeing like the horror, it just, regardless of how bad it would get and continue to get, it just never like broke their spirit and never broke that steadfastness, and how much of it was through Islam. And that was the first time that I actually was confronted with like my ignorance and my assumptions. I really started thinking about like Islam and like reverting. I had a friend, and she had gifted me the clear Quran. I started reading through it, and it seemed like every single problem I was having, in the moment I would just open it, and almost like to the page, the thing I'm reading would be almost speaking exactly to what I'm going through and giving me answers.
The very end of October, very beginning of November, I ordered another Quran, and I started reading it, and I would stop for periods of time, but I would always find myself coming back, and I had never been that way with a religion ever. Fast forward to September of this past year of 2024, I went to Tunisia with my friends. Our little hotel was right next to a masjid, and the Adhan for Fajr prayer went off, and it woke me up. And I remember laying there and listening to it, and it took me back to when I was in Palestine. That was the last time I had heard it. And I had been doing all of this learning for that, for years. And when I was laying in bed, I don't even think I told my friends this, but that was the moment where I was like, I know I'm going to be Muslim. Like, listening to it, I knew it was in my future. I thought it was going to be a lot farther in my future, but it was, hearing it again, I was like, oh, like, I know where I'm meant to be. I just was scared to fully get there yet.
Following October 7th, and what I saw online was a lot of Islamophobic rhetoric. So as an activist, to combat that, I just opened up to my followers, who at the time were not majority Muslim. My followers at the time were kind of just a mixed crowd. And so I offered for my audience to read the Quran live with me. And it was more so to educate them that this was not a book to be feared. The religion, Islam, was not to be feared either. We're all human beings, and the religions of the world are something to be celebrated, not feared.
There was an event at our local masjid. It was a speaker event, and it was like a a speaker panel about the genocide, about what was happening. So we went to the masjid. We didn't even go for prayer because we didn't know how to pray or anything. Being at the masjid, listening to these speakers, even though it wasn't, we weren't even talking about Islam. We were talking about Palestine. I just felt very at peace being there, and I wore a hijab for one of the first times when I went there, and I don't know how to explain it. I just felt at peace and really serene in my heart. And after that, I just naturally wanted to go back and see what it was about. And we just went, me and my friend, and then we showed up, and all the girls there immediately greeted us and ran towards us. They were like, "Oh my gosh, what's your name? Where are you from? Are you Muslim?" And we weren't, but they were just so excited that we were there, and I felt so happy and so at home being there. And after that, we would go every Friday night. That was me and my best friend's Friday nights. And I don't even know how to explain it. It's just a feeling in your heart that you can't really put words to. I just felt very at home there.